I think basically what's happened is the two countries, Russia and Ukraine, have kind of fought each other to a standstill, with Ukraine dispatching the best part of 2,000 Russian soldiers a day at the moment, a day, and all the kit. Over 300 planes they've shot down and helicopters. They've managed to destroy large chunks of the Russian Navy and so on. They've dealt a lot of blows to the Russians. And in the last few weeks, since Trump has been elected, the ruble has been tanking. The Russian banks are stopping anybody taking any money out. There's a whole host of things if you look and see what's happening.
Still with me are the political editor of The New European, James Ball, and former Conservative MP and Junior Health Minister, Edwina Currie. Edwina, I want to talk about Ukraine. For the first time since Russia invaded Ukraine nearly 3 years ago, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that he would consider a peace deal if Ukraine, or at least parts of Ukraine that aren't occupied by Russia, could be granted NATO membership. But also, Edwina, for the first time, we heard President Zelensky say that in order to have a ceasefire, he would be willing to cede Ukrainian territory to Russia.
A lot of different countries proposed a ceasefire. So the question is, ceasefire where? That is the question. The second point is, if we speak ceasefire, guarantees that Putin will not come back.
Mm-hmm. Edwina, what do you make of what President Zelensky had to say?
Well, as you know, I have a Ukrainian family of refugees staying with me. They've been with me since soon after the invasion back in 2022. So I follow what's going on usually 2 or 3 times a day and sometimes more than that. And Zelensky, let's just bear this in mind. Zelensky has never been a hawk. When he was first elected, he actually was seeking peace. He went and spoke with Putin. He really was leading from the front on that. And I think he, and probably now a majority of the Ukrainian people, would like to see an end to what he's called the hot phase of this war. I think basically what's happened is the two countries, Russia and Ukraine, have kind of fought each other to a standstill, with Ukraine dispatching the best part of 2,000 Russian soldiers a day at the moment, a day, and all the kit. Over 300 planes they've shot down and helicopters. They've managed to destroy large chunks of the Russian Navy and so on. They've dealt a lot of blows to the Russians. And in the last few weeks, since Trump has been elected, the ruble has been tanking. The Russian banks are stopping anybody taking any money out. There's a whole host of things if you look and see what's happening. Assuming, and James may correct me, that we can believe some of what we're reading online. I hope so. So basically what Zelensky wants is an end to the hot phase, and he wants guarantees of the land that they are in occupation of, and basically negotiating the rest at some future point. And the guarantee he's talking about is NATO. He's actually asked that the accession to NATO talks could start within a week. Now, all of this is a negotiating position. All of this is putting himself in a position where he's got something to talk through with Trump, who he's already met and spoken to very early on, and to then put themselves in a good position when Trump starts talking to Russia. Now, if Russia doesn't accept all that, then what Trump's people have been saying is that they would then offer a lot more help to Ukraine to finish it. Nobody knows where it's going, except I think my guess is that we have ended the beginning of the end, at least of the warfare.
Okay, James, we've got just a minute and a half left, but just your thoughts. This was the first time we heard President Zelensky even entertain the thought of conceding territory to Russia. I spoke earlier to a Ukrainian MP from the Holos Party. So that might be a difficult sell for the Ukrainian people. And also, membership of NATO was what started the whole conflict to begin with, that Russia was worried that Ukraine was heading towards NATO membership.
No, it wasn't. Putin says he regards Ukraine as part of Russia. It's part of the Russian state. It is a line used by Western apologists for Russia. It was not Russia's motivation. It is a total fiction that's used to undermine support for Ukraine. But Zelensky's played a clever game here. This is all about as much leverage as he can get in negotiation. That's why they've got missiles striking into Russia. That's why they're looking at what's happening in Syria, which weakens Russia. Zelensky has said he wants Ukraine under the NATO umbrella. That is different from saying it must be a member. He's using membership to try and say he wants NATO peacekeepers on Ukrainian soil.
But what is the mood in Ukraine? What would this peace deal actually mean for them? Well, joining us now is Kira Rudik, Ukrainian MP from the Holos Party. Kira, thank you for giving us your time. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Alexis, and thank you so much for having me.
What do you make of President Zelensky's comments? This idea that Russia may be allowed to keep territory it occupies now, Ukrainian territory, but the rest of Ukraine would be put under NATO, the umbrella of NATO, and that would give President Zelensky time to get those territories back with diplomatic procedures.
Well, right now, I think we are talking in like broader strokes, right? There's no peace deal on the table, and there has no discussions about like what that may look like publicly. So, of course, President is talking about security guarantees, and it was crucial since the day one of the full-scale invasion about like no matter where we are in terms of the battlefield, the question was always, how do we live with Russia moving forward, and what are the guarantees that Russia would not attack us again? I want to paint a picture for you how it looks on the ground here. And in 1994, Ukraine given up on our second largest nuclear arsenal in the world for the security guarantees of our sovereignty and territorial integrity. And these guarantees went from the United States, United Kingdom, I think France, and Russia. And look how it works for us. Not very well, right? So in 2014, well, after Russia has taken over Crimea and eastern territories of Ukraine, there was already an idea of the ceasefire and then some diplomatic negotiations over the territories that Russia captured. So as you have seen, it did not work. First of all, it only gave Russia an ability to strengthen up themselves and attack us in 2022. And second, this idea of the ceasefire, it was never executed properly because since 2014, Russia was constantly attacking us on the border, on the battlefield. So right now, President Zelensky is mentioning NATO as one of the ways that security guarantees could be done the way that people will believe them. Because the main question on the ground is like how any of the deal would be different from what we have had before. And I do not see any difference or any realistical ideas. We are all waiting for Donald Trump to come to the office in January, and he made pretty bold statements regarding ending the war in 24 hours. And this is why all those peace deal discussions have been circling around, because we have anticipation that there would be some sort of proposal from the White House. However, there is nothing serious right now in the air. And giving you the understanding of what is happening here in Ukraine, look, the majority of people have either someone fighting at the front or have lost someone at the front line. And coming to them and saying, well, we will stop right here and then we will figure something out would mean that those sacrifices, they were for nothing. Mm-hmm. So I think President Zelensky will be in a very tough spot in trying to explain this idea of giving up some territories to the people of Ukraine.
Well, that was going to be my next question, Kira. This was considered unthinkable, this idea that territory would be ceded to Russia. Now, it's important to say that President Zelensky said that this is a temporary solution in order to have this ceasefire, to end the hot phase of the war, as he called it, and then that he would pursue getting those territories back under diplomatic means. But the idea that some territories would be ceded to Russia, how would that go down with the Ukrainian people?
It's not about territories. Let's make it very clear. It's about people who are right now on those occupied territories. And you see, I've been to Bucha and Irpin the first day after liberation. I have seen what Russians were doing there, the torture rooms and mass graves. And it is unthinkable to agree that we are right now basically forfeiting our people at the temporary occupied territories where they will be, and they are tortured and kidnapped and their kids are taken from them because just for the sake that they are Ukrainians, right? So there should be a solution to people there on those occupied territories, and I don't see that there is a solution just yet. So we are talking about very abstract matters right now. And again, given the fact that we have heard that Donald Trump will try to figure out some solution for Ukraine, and this is why more and more ideas are circling. But no idea that has been taken by president or the parliament would be workable if people wouldn't agree to that. And again, we have lost already too much to say, well, it is what it is. Let's look at some diplomatic solution. I want to stress that there is still a very good solution on the table. The fact is just that our allies don't like it, is to arm Ukraine to the point that we were asking to be armed and allow us to fight back Russia without the limitations so we can use force to push them away from our territories. We have been sending and showing by the facts of how efficient and effective our military are with those armors. And unfortunately, by this time, we are still lacking the results in delivering the weapons to the battlefield.
Okay.
We have political promises, but we do not have the results.
Okay,